thing which is circulating pastors, everyone, pastor and stuff. And a lot of people, others, they're taking it as if it's just, maybe drama and the like. But pastoral, it is a very, very serious office, and it requires high standards of professionalism. One is your conduct, your conduct, because being a pastor is supposed to be exemplary in the society. For people to come to your church, it's not only the anointing they follow, but also your reputation, your conduct. So supposed to have like high standards of conduct, and they're supposed to be respecting other people. Then one of, again, the ethics of a pastor is language.
Okay.
A pastor is supposed to use a language, which is classed like language, whereby when a pastor is speaking, you can just tell that this is a pastor. A pastor must not be vulgar in their language. Supposed to use some words that must build.
Okay.
Yeah. Then that's when slightly deeper on their ethics as well. Also, I can talk about dress code.
Yes,
Yeah,
because it falls in the same category.
Yeah, dress code, because they say dress the way you want to be addressed. So people will address you the way you dress. There is how people expect a pastor to dress.
Okay.
Yeah, there are times whereby I'll just dress, then I'm passing. Even a person just, are you a pastor? So what to make them to say, are you a pastor, is because there is how a pastor is supposed to dress.
Like white shoes, maroon shoes. Yeah.
It's not about shoes, but it's about, I'm talking about decency.
Okay, decent.
Yeah, a pastor is supposed to dress in a decent manner. Yeah, clothes must be, must talk, this is a pastor.
There is that dress code, I'm sure you agree with me, if the one which people have been making, I don't know if it is a fan of, or maybe the one which has been catching a lot of people's attention, where, certain types of shoes are worn by men of God. I'm talking about the colors, maroon, unusual colors that we normally see. Others, they even go as far as green, and different colors that we have seen, to the point where once, like you have said, if you see this man dressed in this particular manner, you will say, okay, the term which is normally used is not a pastor, but it's papa. That kind of a dress code, Someone would say, he's dressed like a papa, this one, and you know what that means.
Okay.
So is that part of the dress code as well?
Actually, what I can say is pastors, they're models.
Okay.
Yeah, they're models. So you find that when you stand in front of people, you're ministering, you inspire people in different ways. Yeah. So someone can just like adapt to your dress code, but they are not pastors. Yeah. So you find that all these things, that's because of I can just say it's because of inspiration. There are some people whereby they dress like pastors, but they're not pastors. Just because maybe they're under a certain man of God and they're inspired on how he handles himself in the excellent manner and stuff, and they begin to follow like that. Then talking about shoes, they're just shoes like which are commonly used by pastors because of maybe I can just use the term excellency, like to match. For instance, you put on a green suit. The only shoe that can match, it can be black or green. Okay. So it's just about matching the colors. Yeah, it has nothing like to do with the anointing. But when you put on this,
probably this is why I wanted to hear it from you. Is there a specific dress code? Because all the professions, but for a pastor's office, I don't think it's a profession really, even though people do go to school and thereafter get ordained and become pastors, but it's a spiritual office, so to say. So I thought maybe it was a description, or just like we have teachers, the way they are supposed to dress, policemen, the way they are supposed to dress, people in the medical field, they've got their own kind of dress code. You can't even be mistaken if you just meet this particular person who is coming from the field of health, you will know that this is a nurse or a clinical officer or a doctor in that regard.
Yeah. So like what I'm trying to emphasize is on decency.
Decency
Yeah.
is the key word.
It's the key word. It's
Okay.
not just about a suit, but if you can put on clothes which are decent, at least you are being exemplary. You just standing in front, you can either destroy the people or you can build the people.
Build the people.
Yeah.
Now let's get to the relationship, the pastor and the flock. How far should that relationship go, and what are the best ways of how a pastor can relate to the members?
Okay. A pastor has got a major role to play, especially in the society. Or despite like this time, pastors are not regarded much, but there is something that other people they have not yet realized. So pastors play a major role in the society because they have the first contact with people. Yeah, so there must be that relationship between a pastor and the members. Yeah, the pastor and the members. Oh, despite that, this time found that there are challenges whereby if this person belongs to this church, let me not use Pentecostal, let me use one of the traditional churches. If, for instance, a person goes to Catholic and the person goes to United UCZ, you find that their leaders, like the priest, want to put their focus on the Catholic. The leaders from UCZ, they'll put their focus only on UCZ. So they don't like I say church has also brought some division in the society because of how leaders perceive members.
Okay.
Yeah. You are not my enemy because you don't come to my church. You have got your belief, that's why you go to that church. So like for instance, if you come to my church, you are a part and parcel, a member of my church, I'm supposed to have a good relationship with you because people are displaced and people go through a lot of difficult situations whereby they need some counseling, prayers and guidance and everything. So a pastor is supposed to have that relationship. In other words, a pastor is supposed to be accessible.
Okay.
Yeah, supposed to be accessible. There must not be any payment. There must not be.
But at least protocol, because I've seen protocol. You have to see the different offices until you see the pastor.
Again, it depends with the tense of your relationship, your tense of your connection with the same man of God. Yeah, it is not everyone that when you want to see a man of God, you have to pass to this office. There are some people, but if you have got a good relation with the man of God, you can have that direct communication and everything. But if you are a stranger, we're also looking at safety. This person is a stranger. You may not know the intentions.
Okay.
Yeah, so the person is supposed to be screened properly, scanned. Okay, this person is really after help or is after destroying, because there's some people but they just come with a mission. They want just to enter the pastor's office, but you may not know exactly their mission, their motive of coming. So that's why there's the issue of you go through this office, the first interview a bit. Okay, why do you want to see a pastor? What and everything else, so that to have that clear picture of who you are and what you want. But as I say, there must not be you must not pay to see a pastor. Yeah, you must not pay to see a pastor. We must understand the difference between paying and giving.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why last time I said spiritual things, they sound so carnal to people that are not in the spirit. There's what we call an offering. Okay, an offering. When you're going to see a man of God, you don't go like empty-handed. You carry your offering. Okay, man of God, here is my offering. These are my problems. The offering is like your voice. Okay. It's like your voice it's like a sacrifice that you offer on the altar of God to also speak for you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Oh, interesting, and you are beginning to make me divert now to go into that direction. But before we dwell so much on the giving, I want you to clarify, the importance of one having a pastor in his or her life, is it important? Is it necessary for someone to have a man of God over his or her life? And what do I mean by this? Someone where you submit to, and you pour out yourself. This is why I started by asking, how far can the relationship with a man of God go? Does it just end me sitting in the terraces and listening to him on the pulpit, and there it ends?
Okay. It is very important for a person to be under a pastor, like to have a spiritual father. Yeah, to have a spiritual father, because spiritual fathers, they play a major role, like in our lives. You have heard the story of the sons of Sceva, where they went to cast demons, and demon says, Paul we know, Jesus we know, but who are you? Jesus we know, Paul we know, but who are you? So the demons has to mention the name of Paul, because the name of Paul was already established in the spirit realms. So when it comes to spiritual, they are lungs. Yeah, they are lungs. They are lungs. There are some certain demons that I cannot fight. I need a spiritual backup. That's why we need a covering. We call it an umbrella, a covering, a spiritual covering. That's what we call fatherhood. Then most of the times, me, based from my experience, because I'm submitting under Prophet Enoch Kalonga, even last time I mentioned, from my experience, my submission, it has been beyond spiritual.
Okay.
Yeah, I've also seen the benefits of me being like benefiting as well from the physical aspect, because there are times that I've got an issue. I can see that for this issue it is not spiritual, but this issue I need someone to talk to me. I'll go to him. This is the situation and everything. Then okay, you guide me from the physical aspect and from the spiritual aspect. So it's very, very important. There's some certain things that you cannot disclose to your biological parents, but you can disclose to your spiritual parents. So it's very, very important in terms of your intercessions. You need to have someone interceding for you, especially when you're even a pastor, because in as much as you are praying for people, you also need someone to pray for you.
Okay.
Yeah, because you cannot just be releasing what you are not acquiring. So the more you are praying for people, the more you need to also be prayed for.
Okay.
So it's very, very important for your spiritual growth and for some defense in terms of spiritual matters.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Now let's talk about since we are discussing the professionalism and the ethics, how does the family of a pastor, play a role in shaping up the flock who are following him? Why do I say this? Many are the times that we see the men of God get attacked through their family members. The devil can attack them through their family members, and in return, we see other members now backsliding because of what they've seen happening in the family of the man of God. How is that supposed to be handled?
Okay, actually, I can say it is a kind of a pressure that a lot of men of God are facing. Yeah, because just the step of you accepting the call of God, it is a battle on its own. So you find that you have accepted to serve God, meaning you stand as a frontliner to help destinies, So the devil always have got his own initiative on how to frustrate you and to make you give up. Most of pastors, if you trace their families, you find that there are a lot of battles. Mostly, I've used the word mostly, meaning majority of them. You trace their background, find that there are battles that they go through. They are all these ideas just to frustrate and to make you give up on on your calling. And there are sometimes about even your family can deny that you're not called. compromise, this person is not God. What I believe in is every person has got a background, every person has got the history, there's where they are coming from. So sometimes when you become a convert, you become born again, sometimes it's difficult for some family members to accept that really this person, he has been born again, really this person, he has received Jesus and he can be a man of God. So it depends. Some families, they can be supportive. Some families can face some resistance. They'll be like, no, maybe he's a satanist, maybe he's a what, and such kind of a thing. Yes, sir.
Now, let's zero it into the children. We've seen most of the times you find that the pastor's children, they are not doing what they are supposed, what everyone expects them to do. How is that handled by the man of God?
Yeah, one thing that the world is supposed to know is a pastor is a pastor when he is at church.
Okay.
When he goes home, he's a father. Okay. For instance, I'm married. When I'm at church, I'm the pastor to my wife. When we go home, I'm the husband.
Okay.
So I'm supposed to handle my children not based on my pastoral levels, but based on how being a father to those children.
Okay.
Yeah, and you find that sometimes many pastors, they don't have much time for their children. They have got time for other people. So you find that instead of shaping your children in the way you're supposed to be, you find that you are so much dedicated
to shaping other people's children.
Yes, and find that yours not coming up well.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of how close you draw yourself to your children and the values you inculcate in them.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Interestingly. Now, in the recent past, we've seen a lot of sad developments that have happened, where I know we've talked about it several times, but in regards to professionalism and ethics, what is the role of a pastor in terms of helping people who are going through different challenges? We've seen people take their own lives because of challenges. Just recently, we saw a young man who overborrowed some monies and they couldn't pay. Now, these are the issues. Probably, if these persons, they had an encounter with a man of God, and probably things wouldn't have gone that way. So, what is the role really of the man of God in these cases that we've seen rising?
Okay. All right. Very interesting. As I say, that the pastor plays a major role in the society. Major role. That's not the problem this time. People, they have not yet realized the importance of a man of God. A pastor is supposed to be easily accessible, because there are people that are undergoing depression, as I put it last time. There are people that are undergoing depressions, mental health cases, whereby they're not seeing a need of living, and they want to talk to a pastor, get some encouragement and everything. So a pastor is supposed to be ever accessible, unless otherwise, to offer service to the people. But some certain things that are killing people, just that they never had someone to talk to. That's why I talked about the issue of having a spiritual father.
Okay.
Yeah, a spiritual father. There are even other men of God we have seen committing suicide. There's a case in Chipata. We heard about in Chipata. There's a man of God also as well committing suicide. It's because of these mental cases, mental health cases, whereby somebody is just depressed, is somebody just keeping it. So if you can have someone like a spiritual father, someone who is close to you, and you can open up. Okay, this is a challenge I'm going through. This is a thing. And when sometimes when you share something out, it even gives a relief and it even brings solution. But as long as you are still holding it, it always looks big. Sometimes if you're keeping something in your heart, it can look big, but it's something about it can just be handled.
Now, just on the issue of disclosing, is it okay, I come to your office, I disclose what my challenge is, and thereafter the next Sunday, I'm hearing you referring to my challenge as an example, preaching. Is that right?
That is not right. That is not right. Something about pastoral. Pastoral requires confidentiality. You know, um, a pastor, a pastor knows almost every secret of the church members.
Mm.
Yeah, because people meet him with different complaints. People open up.
Oh, yeah.
So a pastor is supposed to be trustworthy. It's a person supposed to be trustworthy. Supposed to be able to keep the secret.
Mm.
No matter how much you're offended, I can keep your secret. You can pierce me, but according to my pastoral values, I'm not supposed to disclose it.
Okay.
Yeah. So you find that if now you see a pastor, you share with him, oh, pastor, I was pregnant, so I decided to remove my pregnancy. I just need spiritual guidance and everything. Then on Sunday, you hear him saying, no, some of you come to my office.
Or not really coming, some of you, the things you do, and you expect God to love you like that.
So you find that that is a sign
Mm.
to tell that you, in the first place, you're under a wrong person.
Okay.
Yeah, you're under a wrong person. Because how can a person be destroying what is building?
Mm.
Yeah, so we expect when we share something with our pastors, we expect it being just between them and us.
Okay.
Yeah, and once the Bible is very big,
Mm.
let us preach the word of God, let us preach Jesus, and the other things, let us leave them to God. Because it is quite embarrassing where someone comes to you, disclose something to you, then on Sunday become the same one. I think it's one of the reasons why some people are keeping on revolving, like rotating from one church to another, one church to another. Sometimes it's because I'm not saying pastors they are perfect. Sometimes they may not be careful in their speech.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but also people need to understand that when a pastor makes a mistake, he's a human being. He can be approached, he can be talked to, he can be corrected. Sometimes leaving it is not a solution, but if you can say, okay, pastor, last time what you said, I was offended. A normal human being always have time to apologize and create peace. And like you are offended, then you just keep it. No, what the pastor said, he was mocking me. Then sometimes during a sermon, it is not always that the pastor will say that he prepared.
Mm.
Yeah, sometimes God begins to speak to us. God begins to speak. Sometimes we must not take even offenses of words which are being spoken from the pulpit, because we may not know the state where the man is. Maybe the Holy Spirit has come on him and it is speaking. God speaks through many ways. Maybe through a sermon, God can be rebuking me. Maybe God can be correcting me. Maybe God can be lifting me. So it just depends on how the word has approached me and everything. Sometimes it's not like a pastor program this on today and I was there about this. No, sometimes God just begin to speak because there are people with different situations in the church.
I think that's where many of us lack, because sometimes you might find there is a word which is coming for someone out there, and that word is kind of like rebuking that particular person, and you start questioning yourself. Did my friend tell pastor that this that kind of arrangement? And I've seen it happen most of the time. Now, as we are winding up, in Kafue, where you come from, a man of God took his life. I would like to believe that there were some challenges which he was going through. How is the man of God supposed to handle especially financial challenges? Because many of the times, if we read the Bible in the Old Testament, you realize that the priests were not supposed to do any kind of work. They were just supposed to sit and pray for the people, whereas the people, who happens to be the members, they work and come and share with this person who sits and spends most of the time preparing, something to fit their spiritual requirements. So how is that supposed to be handled by a man of God in regards to professionalism and ethics?
Yes, okay, that can be a slightly difficult question for me because um, at the end of the day, I not want to be questioned, but based on my knowledge,
Mm.
um, there's what we call full-time ministry.
Okay.
Yeah, and it is a term that a lot of pastors they have failed to understand.
Mm.
Full-time ministry, it is not like the way people are taking it, whereby you are just in ministry, you are doing nothing.
Mm.
Yeah, you're doing nothing. I personally, I'm called by God, but there's something that also that I'm doing.
Okay.
So you find that, depending so much on people,
Mm.
you always be frustrated.
Mm.
People promise, but not everyone can deliver.
Mm.
So what I can encourage even other pastors watching me this time is, as you are serving God, do business.
Okay.
Yeah, do business. If you have chances to go to school to start something, study. You can be a teacher, yet a powerful man of God.
Mm.
You can be a doctor, yet a powerful man of God.
Mm.
You can be a lawyer, yet a powerful man of God. So there's career and there's vocation. So many people, they have abandoned their career because of vocation. So when you have a call, God has called you, that's a vocation. That's not a career. So that's why you see like priests, the way they do it. Priest, you can find that someone is a priest, but he's also a teacher. Someone is a priest, he's a lawyer. Someone is a priest. Priests, they understand that it's not about just having a vocation, but also having career. So what I can advise, and based on my standards of knowledge, is a pastor is supposed also to do other things apart from ministry. What do you do on Monday? What do you do on Tuesday when you're not having church services?
Mm.
Are you always in the mountains praying? Are you
Others, they spend time, counseling, a church of maybe roughly 1,000 members plus, and some of them would want to come and have one-on-one conversation with a man of God.
Okay. Do you know what is most painful?
Mm.
Is when people begins to take it like they're feeding you.
Okay.
Yeah, and whereby people begins to take it like you entered ministry because you had no one to look after you.
Mm.
Okay, but if I marry, my wife's supposed to be proud. Okay, my husband, apart from ministry, there is also his other source of income in case of some challenges.
Mm.
Other people, they come to give just
like
to
what happened in the case of COVID in the year 2020,
Mhm.
where it hit and
churches were closed.
yes.
Yeah, and a lot of pastors were affected.
Mm.
So at least if you have got a backup, you are doing business. Yeah, it's well and good. Look at men of God that are doing well today. Doing well. Talk about Prophet Shepherd Bushidi, Pastor Chris, Prophet Hubert Angel. A lot of men of God that are doing well financially today. If you check very well, you find that these are big businessmen.
Mm.
They are doing business. They are into business.
Mm.
Others, they have studied, they are working. Like Hubert Angel is an ambassador. He's like on his free time, he's in the office working.
Mm.
So having that financial backup where you are doing something, it really helps. Based on my understanding, it really helps because we'll keep on being frustrated because of the people. People promise, man of God, I'll do this.
Mm.
Yeah, you may not. It's a promise. Someone can just make a promise on their own, and you may not start making follow-ups. No, you said this. No.
Mm.
So you're becoming more frustrated if your source of income is not stable. Then other thing is maintaining your standard. Yeah, maintaining your standard. There are some people they can drive Benz based on their source of income. They can put full tank. But if it's not my standard, I must not. Yeah, we believe in standard, but we must understand the state. Okay, where I am, based on my income, I can manage this kind of life. Imagine I'm a man of God, I'm not working, then maybe I'm just a beginner, I'm just starting. Then I'm renting a house for 10,000.
Mm.
That is pressure. I'm putting pressure on myself. So some certain things we just put pressure on ourselves.
Okay.
But at least if you have got a good source of income, you are business minded, or maybe you are learned, you are doing something, well and good.
All right. Once more, thank you for coming through to KBN TV. Unfortunately, because of time, we have to end here. And happy birthday once more.
Thank you, sir.
I enjoyed this particular day, and I know probably the party. What time is it starting so that someone watching can get crushed?
14 hours.
14 hours, all right, okay. So this has been the Weekend GP with me, Enoch Piri. We've come to the end of this week's edition. Until next week, Saturday, same time, from 7 hours to 10 hours, make a date on KBN TV, the finest television.